What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. You know what it is. Let's get into it, alright? Guns with me. My New Year anthem. Free motherfucker, man.
Man, it's the burger. Flacko,
yeah, you mean a Harlem nigga? I mean that.
No, big sex, right?
Oh, shit. Screamy nigga, pretty Flacko. Nigga that chopper, party like a rocket, but my niggas want him. Yeah, Papa, guess that's just all these. Yeah, listen, man, this is my shit. And you know what I love about this record is it just gets harder and harder. I'm as famous as Mozart. Hoes look at my gold, yeah. And the beat just gets harder and harder. By the time he's like, listen. This part, this is my favorite. Trill, nigga, get your hands up. You're a trill. Hands up. You're a trill. Ah, shit. You're a trill. Tough as fucking nails, man. Anyway, and shout out to ASAP. He's got a new album coming out. I am not looking forward to this album, I have to say. I love Rocky, y'all know I do, and I've championed ASAP Rocky since essentially Live Love ASAP because it floored me and it still does. It's still very well made. I just feel like he abandoned his sound, and that's not a good thing. And he hyper focused on the sort of the trap, the dark funk aspect of things, which I guess understandably so, because when Pretty Flacko came out, it was like, whoa, we were like, what is this shit? So I get that, but I do think that the Clams Casino stuff, the Beautiful Loose stuff, he kind of let fall to the wayside, which is unfortunate because that stuff was incredible too. And actually, I would even say the Clams Casino stuff was even more revolutionary. It's just that the Pretty Flacko stuff, the SGP, that bounce is more, not to say commercial, but it's easier to make more commercial because it's more in the vein. It can be kind of played in the club, even though it's not really a club record, if you know what I mean. So, anyway, that's ASAP, but, you know, as it is, anything ASAP I will check out. So, all eyes on Iran. I gotta talk some political shit. We're gonna get into, as usual, I always keep it hip-hop, so we're definitely gonna get into hip-hop things. But I had a gentleman reach out to me. Shout out to Ali Reza. I hope I'm saying your name right. I get the sense that my man is in Iran. I don't know if he's in Iran or outside of Iran, but certainly very passionate about his country, his people. And he reached out to me and was like, yo, please, you know, you got to talk about this shit. And I've been following it to a certain extent. You know, it's just this time of year, obviously, with families and Christmas, you know, so it's a lot of family things. But at the same time, these things are important. And, you know, it's funny because what happens in Iran does affect us. And I know a lot of people sometimes will go, well, who cares about what's going on in some random Muslim country? Iran is not Muslim, by the way. They're captured and controlled by Muslims, which is what's so whack about it, like New York City is about to be. But the point is, that stuff does affect us, right? You guys will notice that I posted this video from Nick Shirley. I posted this a few days ago, and I remember seeing this video when it had like 200,000 views. So this went viral like a motherfucker. I encourage you, if you have any suspicions and you're like, well, you know, I don't think this Islamic stuff affects me. Well, newsflash, it does. Muslims are out here stealing billions of dollars from you. Now, again, here's the thing. I always find it so funny about how the conversation tries to get framed when you have literally, you know, paid losers, treasonous losers who are trying to say, oh, if you go after the Somali Muslims, you're a racist, you're a hater, right? It's like, no, that's treason. You're not supposed to come into someone's country and steal their shit. Now, here's the thing. And again, let's make this crystal fucking clear. At the end of the day, all races of people scam. I'm Nigerian, right? That's my background. Of course there are Nigerian scammers. There are Cameroonian scammers, Japanese scammers, American scammers, Hawaiian scam, whatever. I can go on and on. Every race of people has scammers in it. But there's one fundamental difference here, okay? The real issue, aside from it being wrong that you have come into someone else's country to steal shit from them, that's abhorrent. It's not like you're doing it in your own country. But okay, you've come to someone else's country and now you're stealing shit from them. Okay, that's bullshit. But here's the other and much more important problem, is that Somali Muslims are spending that money and they're sending it back to Somalia, particularly to Al-Shabaab, terrorist organizations, who are going to be sitting there being like, how can I blow up a supermarket in New Orleans? Right? How can I send some of my guys as sleeper cells into the United States so that they can go and cause chaos and spread Islam? That's the fucking problem. So not only are you stealing from me and crippling me economically, but now you're going to literally cripple me by sponsoring terrorism. And that's the real issue. So again, what Muslims do worldwide does affect you, because Muslims are not content to just stay in their own countries. In fact, by virtue of Islamic law, we've talked about this before in my previous videos, Islam is all about the kafir. Most of it is about conquering, killing, subjugating the kafir. Most of it has nothing to do with, like, Islam is not really concerned with what it is to be Muslim. And I say this out of love. Again, do I know some people who are Muslim in name? They call themselves Muslim. They're not really Muslim because they don't follow any of the tenets. But my point is, do I know some people who happen to be good people who are Muslim? Of course I do. I grew up in the Middle East, and even now I'm around people. So I know that there are good people everywhere. However, Islam as a doctrine is garbage. It's straight up. And you can't tell me I don't fucking know. I know. I grew up under it. I've read it. I know it. Okay? And I know people don't like to hear the real. Okay? So they want to silence you by calling you an Islamophobe and all that kind of shit, which is basically Sharia law 101. Okay? Sharia law states that anybody who says anything contrary that's to Islam or anything that's negative or the truth essentially about Islam, you have to kill them, shun them, ostracize them. So, essentially we're already kind of living under Sharia law without even realizing it. That's the fucked up thing. Muslims everywhere will always try to institute Sharia law if you let them. And the point is, don't let them do that shit. Okay? That's the end game. It's always the end game. It's always been the end game. Now, why does this matter to what's going on in Iran? I'll get to that in a second, but I do think that this video is very funny, especially as you have some of these Somali daycares. Again, let's be honest about, it's not a racial issue, okay? Shout out to my Somalis. Look, listen, I've been around, I have had Somali close friends, dated a Somali lady who was all things nice person, a little weird, but whatever. But the point is, again, it's the problem. It's Islam. Somalis, in my opinion, are captured by this Islamic garbage. They've been Arabized so deeply, and anyone who's African, who's around them, knows this. Okay, I'm not saying anything that isn't fucking obvious. Okay, so my point is, I do think that it's interesting how they have these fake daycares. The Quality Leering Center, for those of y'all who don't know, there was a daycare that had the sign misspelled. It was supposed to be a learning center, and it was misspelled as Leering for literally years. And then Nick kind of uncovered and went through it, and it's become a meme of its own. So I do find that funny, and even to the point where you have trolls, like my man, showing up to wish people a happy new year. Anyway, I'll let y'all. I'll play a little bit of this shit.
I'm just here to wish everybody a happy new year from the Quality Learning Center here tonight.
They just replaced the sign after all of this scrutiny. It's taken you 8 years to replace the sign, but it's legit business, right? Get the fuck out of here. FOH. But yes, why does this matter to what's going on in Iran? Now, when it comes to Iran, I am not as knowledgeable. Iran is a huge country. A lot of people might not realize this. Oh, sorry, I meant to talk about this. So this Somali-run daycare, now they have a break-in. Someone broke into a daycare to steal records. When have you ever heard of people breaking into a daycare to steal records? That's them doing that shit. Do you understand? This is how Muslim behavior is. It's called taqiyya. Okay? This is the word everybody... That was my favorite word of 2025. Taqiyya. Again, when you attack and victimize people, because that's what Muslims do. They constantly attack because their religion tells them to constantly attack. That's what Islam is about. Subjugate the kafir. So you constantly attack, but as you attack, you immediately claim victim. That it's, in fact, the other people that attacked. It's the Islamic playbook. right? So yeah, you will destroy your own store, or you might even go and kill somebody who's Muslim, just to show, hey, we're under attack. Oh my God, even though you're the one that's doing it, right? Again, Islam 101. But I came to YouTube really to point you to somebody that I follow, and I trust her opinion. Again, I am not knowledgeable really about what goes on in Iran. It's very tough to get real news out of Iran because they are captured by an evil Muslim regime for almost about 50 years. So and there's traitors and all kinds of people, and anyway. But my point is that Goldie is somebody that I believe is very intelligent, loves Canada, importantly, very proud Persian lady. So whatever she says, I kind of just go with. So, So I would say if you're really interested in this topic and want to explore it further, subscribe to Goldie, and she's covering the revolution as we speak, because that's what's going on. So for those of y'all who don't know, Iran is submerged in protest, from what I understand, pretty much across the country. People are tired. We've been tired with that shit for a long time. So of course, Iranians themselves are extraordinarily tired. Okay, why does this matter? Well, Iran is like the head of the snake when it comes to this Muslim communist bullshit alliance that is fucking up Venezuela, that is even fucking up Africa, because a lot of terrorists are sponsored by Iran. Okay, and they use, like, even if you give sanctions towards Iran, let's say Venezuela is still operating, Venezuela becomes Iran's ATM. Okay, again, these things are connected. Right? The world is a huge place, but it is a small place at the same time. So the decisions that one government does, especially if they control a large group of people and they control a large amount of resources, it will affect you. And that's why it's important to at least be a little bit of, knowledgeable of what's going on. You don't have to dive in deeply unless you want to, but it's important to at least be a little bit savvy. And hip-hop heads are savvy, okay? The true hip-hop heads. We sample music from everywhere, right? So it's important for us to have an idea of the people that we are sampling from sometimes. Anyway, as these protests go on and on, I do think it's interesting how there's relative media silence on this. Of course, no one's really supporting the Iranian protesters. I think that's fascinating. Let Kaya speak very briefly on this.
Is open firing on civilians. Where is Anna Kasparian? Where is Tucker Carlson? These are real freedom fighters trying to topple an oppressive regime, and yet there are no statements from the UN or Amnesty, the groups that claim to care about human rights and peace. And this is just another example of what we've known all along, that the anti-Israel crowd never cared about innocent people suffering. It was never about just criticizing Israel.
Yeah, we know this. And this is the thing. We have been saying this. We know that all these protesters that came out, the UN, Amnesty International, they're so rotten at their core that it was always about hating Jews. That's what it was. Okay, let's be honest. We know that Zohran Mamdani's vote is about hating Jews. Yeah, are some Jews going to vote for Zohran? Of course they are. Jews voted for Hitler. Okay, not again a small percentage roughly. But there's always going to be a small percentage of raccoons, let's just keep it positive, that will always betray their own race for some reason or the other, either deliberately, ignorance, or whatever. Okay? It is what it is. But the truth of the matter is that this stuff has always been about, I want to hate on Jewish people. I don't like Jews. Let me use a very convenient virtual signaling soapbox to go and hate on some Jews today. Okay, it's not because you give a fuck about what's going on in the world. You don't, right? You're hypocritical. Because the moment that Iranians themselves are saying, look, we don't want to be under this regime anymore, you're nowhere to be found, right? The moment people were slaughtering the Muslims, as they still are, but were slaughtering us in Africa and Nigeria, you were nowhere to be found, okay? When they're slaughtering Hindus in Bangladesh, you're nowhere to be found, okay? So ultimately, that's what this was always about. It was just about hating Jews. And these individuals who are protesting are getting funded from countries like Iran. Okay? Terrorist financing. That's why they're out there. They are there to spread the terrorist message of Islam. It has nothing to do with human rights. That's what's fucked up about all this. So you can't allow individuals like that to just be, running around willy-nilly in your streets saying that it's free speech, because it's not. It has nothing to do with that shit. It's there to try to subjugate you and weaken your laws. and destroy your country. And they say it themselves. Death to America, death to Canada, death to Israel. They say it themselves, okay? Now, that aside, you know, this video is a little sad, but obviously these are individuals who are also Persians who are making videos saying, look, listen, we are struggling out here, right? I mean, that's the problem, again, with terrorist regimes that are able to capture a whole load of people and their land and resources because they use it to finance terrorism instead of taking care of their citizens as they're supposed to. And what they do is they spread so much propaganda, how bad and how evil the West is. And again, when you buy into that, when you buy into America as a terrorist state and America shouldn't exist, you're listening to Islamic and communist propaganda from failed countries. Okay? That is what they do. They cause failure, hoard the money for themselves, and then make excuses constantly, while, of course, being jealous of people who are actually succeeding. And you can say, well, why is the United States involved in Iran? Why are they involved in Venezuela? Because it affects you. You already see what's going on with Minnesota. A cancer is going to spread. That is the problem, right? If it didn't affect us, I would say, okay, to a certain extent, at least, great, load off my back. But the problem is that it does, clearly. So when you see American intervention somewhere like Iran or Venezuela, and the first thing you're thinking is, oh, Americans are such terrorists. Congratulations, you've just swallowed Muslim communist propaganda wholesale. Okay? All right. I'll play this very briefly, but this is all very important stuff. Let's see, my man. What are you going to say? Actually, yeah, I mean, this is another lady I follow as well. But this is really important shit. Oh. Let me get the sound up so that we can hear him speak.
A refugee from Iran. I've been to prison. I've been under Islamic law, and I know how it starts and I know how it ends. And it always starts with for some reason, unity of left and Islamists, and it scares me. So I came here to be free. I chose Canada as my second home to live in a free country, and I'm beginning to get really scared.
Now, see, the left, and again, this goes back, the communists, the left, people on the left, far left, tend to embrace Islam because, you know, you will figure out that a lot of people on the left are frauds. You know, first of all, the left has this idea of sort of moral relativism. So they're all like, well, it doesn't really, there's no real such thing as morals, and like every culture is equal and all that garbage. It's not like that, right? And it's not that that if you tell them and say, hey, actually, here are some of the reasons why this culture is incompatible with this culture. If you try to explain it to a lefty, and I'm saying a very left person, they're usually very delusional and they won't listen to you. So of course, because they're that ignorant, they're the best people to exploit. This is where you get fascism and fascism-like ideas like Islam and communism show up and go, I can use that person because this person is a fucking idiot. And a moral idiot, because that's the whole thing. They use this virtue to avoid just basic critical thinking. And look, I saw this quote somewhere on the internet that was very good, but it basically said that compassion without wisdom is cruelty. And that is the real truth. So you can't claim to be compassionate and you have no sense of wisdom about how you're actually applying your compassion, because then you're just being a cruel motherfucker, pretending to be compassionate. Does that make sense? And of course you will be exploited for that. Now, let's go back to some hip hop shit. But like I said, if you want to cover these things, because like I said, the left is very silent on what's going on in Iran. I just wanted to sort of give a very general sense. If you want to go into those stuff, there are people who are far more knowledgeable than me about it. Morale, for example, Goldie, and feel free to follow them on IG, YouTube, that kind of thing. But let's get back to some hip hop. At the same time, Reza sent me some stuff. He was like, can you listen to some Iranian rappers and let me know what you think? Well, I got to be honest with you, homie. I listened to a bunch of them. I didn't quite like the rappers. I couldn't really get into their beats. A lot of it felt sort of Eminem-ish. Like, but again, you know, different cultures and different vibes are gonna look at hip hop differently. And of course, the further away you are from the center of hip hop, which is New York City, kind of the less you understand it, right? It's just the truth, right? Now, it doesn't mean that you can't make great hip hop in Iran. Absolutely, you can, but you kind of need to spend a lot of time around black folk in New York. You know what I mean? Or at least people who know hip hop. And look, and people who know hip hop are everywhere in the world. It's true, but at the same time, there's a certain thing. You got to come to the Mecca. You got to come to the source. You know what I mean? And you got to be around people who are like the source, essentially. And then you go back home and figure out and go, oh, okay, all right. This is what hip hop is about. This is the vibe. This is the aura. This is the energy. But, okay, this is my people's. This is their vibe. This is their aura. This is their energy. How can I kind of mix the two in a way that respects both, if it's possible, right? So I have a whole list of songs here that I checked out. Never mind Ice Spice. I'm going to get to her in a second. But I checked out some of these records. Hitchcast, rappers, Ali Serena, Reza, Pishro. I checked out a few of these people, and I wasn't really feeling it. Although this one was probably, of all the songs I heard, the best one, even though I didn't care for it much, you know? But it was a cool little vibe, I would say, or at least it started off as kind of like a decent vibe. And in a way, I was like, yeah, this is kind of what I would expect if I like landed in Tehran or something like now, you know, to a certain extent. I wanted to, I don't know, go to the beach or something like that. So I thought this was kind of, you know. You know. Very sunny. Kind of European, you know. Okay. So, yeah, this was the best of the bunch, okay? Anyway, all eyes in Iran. The Iranian people, you have my support. Please throw away that regime. Okay, it's obviously been strangling you for 50 years, close to 50 years, since 1979, which is insane. And we're with you. So, politics and stuff aside, let's get to Doechii. Now, Doechii, lastly, similar to Tochi, I guess. So Doechi's hitting at the haters, as she always does, on saying, oh, I'm not an industry plant and all this kind of shit. Now, Doechi's been silent for a hot minute. This is someone I would typically ignore. But, of course, you know, she feeds the hate. It is what it is. I do think it's interesting that she's come out with a SZA collab. And I understand that they're label mates, but SZA's obviously the bigger artist, right? And so it's interesting to come up with a song talking about, I ain't no industry plant with, while asking for help, right? Like, if Doechii had made the song on her own and just been like, I ain't no industry plant and killed it, then we'd be like, oh shit. But it's like, you needed a SZA to get views. So ultimately, that's some industry plant shit. But that's, anyways, neither here nor there. The song is whack. I couldn't really get through it because Doechi's whack. And she can say it's about because she's a female, because she's black. That doesn't cut it. I mean, that's the kind of thing that like maybe like a white liberal would kind of go for. I'm not that, okay? Like I've been listening to sisters. I love the sisters. I love female rappers. I don't care what race you are. I just care if you're dope or not. Okay? For example, we go to Ice Spice, right? I've been playing this Ice Spice shit quite a bit, right? Let's go.
Then I'ma go cool and Chanel. I'ma pop out with a new swag.
They're like, Ice, how you do that? They say they wanted a bop. I was just doing my shit.
I ain't even really
go pop.
He was just breaking the hit. I don't be giving you niggas a shot. I know he don't want me for me. I know he just want what I got.
Baddie.
I feel like nasty. Like I'm trying to see what a doopies. 40s to make it a movie. Bad bitches, we don't do the groupies.
Let's go. Outside I'm petty and cute.
That bitch look like Betty Boop.
All my oodles is ready to ooh.
I need me a bag. Like, you know I
I'm
need
good,
no
Chanelli.
I'm feeling like
This shit's hard. Again, it's pop. Look. This is not that real rap shit. Okay, it's you know, it's commercial. It's TikTok. It's effervescent, but it's still at least with some hip hop flavor that one can get into, right? And my point is, Ice Spice is mostly really rapping about herself, right? I'm a bad bitch. I do this. You know, I need a Chanelli, all that shit. Rapping kind of like 504 and Funny Enough, but better, which is all crazy to me. But the point is, like, people that are actually talented, and I would say Ice Spice is marginally talented, okay? Marginally, keyword here. But my point is, even if you have a little bit of talent and you genuinely make songs with someone who's not a dick rider of you, whoever, of what you are, who's not bought into your image, can go, oh yeah, I kind of like that. That's kind of cool. But that's all right. You'll notice that she's not really talking about the haters, black girls, hoes, blah, blah. She's just strutting her shit, which is what hip-hop's about. Get a fly beat and just strut your shit. Doechi's out here talking about, oh, you evil hoes, all y'all evil ass hoes. Who the fuck puts evil in a fuck? I'm not trying to listen to a song, I'm in the club, evil hoes. Whoa. Whoa. You just killed the vibe. Evil hoes? That's the thing. Doechi's shit's so hateful. Right? Stop talking about other people. Talk about yourself. Do some or something interesting. Can you do that without, you know, coasting on SZA and being leafy and shit? Anyway, so I'm gonna leave it at that, okay? Lastly, I didn't realize this beat was made by multiple people. You know, typically I'm I'm probably the first person to even point that shit out, be like, you know, you need to stop with that. But RIOTUSA, man, is not bad actually. It's made me check out more of her shit. And it turns out that RIOTUSA is DJ Enuff's son, which I think is interesting. So again, it's like, this is a guy that is coming from hip hop, right? Again, like, I like hip hop music. I don't, you know, I'm not one of these people that's like a casual, like, and then I just kind of flirt with rap. Like, I like hip hop music. I love this shit and I listen to this shit heavy. Lastly, since we're on the topic, or, you know, it's been a minute since I've talked to y'all, I always say, check out my post, the community section. I be posting records in here, things I'm thinking about, whatever. But new OVO, some Dilla stuff. I've been on a Dilla kick recently, and Make 'Em Envy. I fucking love the sample for Make 'Em Envy, man. I've always loved the song, actually. And like I said, it's the original torture for me in a sense, because I used to play the shit out of the song and I got like hip to it kind of late, like in the last maybe like 10 years or so, maybe 10 to 15 years, I don't remember. But when I heard it, I was like, ooh, this shit, it just hit me. And then I started to think, you know what, I'm here, why don't we just keep talking? So I started to think to myself, I was like, you know, JD might be the best rapper, like producer rapper that I've ever heard. Honestly. Like, someone asked me who are my top 5. I want to see if that comment was here. Oh yeah, there we go. Mr. MST. And I put my list as Dilla. Dilla's probably number 1 for me, actually, when I really think about it. I mean, Reza's there, Lord Finesse, Eric Sermon, and Pharrell. I'm not huge on Dre as a rapper. Again, and I like Dre. I think Dre is one of the better rapping producers, right? But look, let me look at this list, right? I'll show you what I mean on my channel. So these are the greatest hip-hop producers of all time, right? Primo doesn't rap, which is good, actually, because why? Like, make beats, right? You will notice that a lot of producers do rap as well, and this is why I've always said that producers are the backbone of hip-hop culture, because it doesn't always go the other way. Right? Now, of course, you get the Redman, you know, someone like a Redman who used to be a DJ, who happens to be a phenomenal rapper. But again, if you're really hip-hop, in my opinion, it starts with the beat on some level, shape, or form. And usually the producers are more knowledgeable about rap music, and they're more intellectual than the rappers. And they kind of have to be, because it takes a smart person to hook up the machines and figure out how to sample and all that shit. That is rocket science shit. I mean, maybe it's not rocket science, but you understand what I'm saying? It's a lot easy, or it's a lot harder than someone just smoking some weed and be like, you know, right? Nigga. Like, you get my point? We all write poetry. Like, writing trash bars with a trash vocal delivery is not hard. But if you ask me right now to make a beat, like, how the fuck would I even go about doing that? This is kind of my point. So the producers are usually the gel of what makes hip hop, and producers tend to be okay on the boards, or I should say on the pen as well. They usually tend to be pretty decent rappers. They're not the best because they don't spend their time rapping and developing their rap skills, but you'd be surprised, they're usually pretty functional, right? Which is also kind of the problem, because I mean, if you're just a functional rapper, then go find a person who's not a functional rapper, who's actually a great rapper. But then don't go find someone who's trash and raps worse than you, because that's disrespectful, right? When I look at this list, I forgot about Tip. Tip is a rapper for sure. Ooh, yeah. I would actually put Tip number 1. Yeah, I'd put Tip number 1. It's between Tip and Dilla, actually, for me. Because, you know, the thing is, when I listen to Dilla, like Make Him Envy, for example, I just love Dilla's voice. I think Dilla has a fantastic rap voice. The bars are cool too. They're good. They're all right. But it's really the voice. And a lot of people don't talk about that shit. Like, Dilla's that motherfucker was talented, man. And the more you think about it, you're just like, what a fucking loss for hip hop, honestly. Major, major loss. But I like Dilla's control, and I like how he comes on the record. You listen to Make Him Envy, just the way he shot, like the way he raps on that shit. You're like, this is what I want to hear, right? I never think to myself, man, I wish this went to someone else. No. Whereas with some of the other producers, I definitely think that shit. Let's see if I can find the record. Make Him Envy. Let's sparkle, baby. Make Him Envy. Just the way he says that shit. Anyway, on this list, Timbaland's not bad, but, you know, again, Timbaland doesn't have a solo song that you would necessarily listen to on your own that you'd be like, yo, that was pretty cool. RZA is also pretty good. That's why he's in my top 5. Pharrell is also pretty decent, you know. Pete Rock, I love Pete, right? I do, but I'm not really a fan of him rapping. I thought The Creator was cool. And I think Pete is okay, but when I hear the Pete Rock beats, I usually think to myself, wow, like, I wish Nas was on this. I wish Hove was on this. I wish someone else was on this. Again, someone else that is supremely talented at rapping, not just someone else, right? Large Professor, again, another dope rapper, but I think like, I kind of wish someone else was on this. Although the song Large Professor is fire, and Large Professor did kill it. Havoc, again, another good rapper. Functional, but when I'm listening to those Mobb Deep beats, I'm thinking at least pre-Infamy or whatever. I'm like, man, I need Prodigy, I need Ghost, I need Nas, I need better rappers on this. And again, no disrespect to Havoc, and Havoc will tell you. I mean, he's rapping next to a guy who's arguably top 5 of all time, so it's a little hard to keep up with that. And Havoc did his best. Right? And he didn't fuck up in fact, when you listen to all those records, you never listen to Havoc and was like, man, Hav fucked this up. You know, like, he actually did a pretty good job. But ultimately, again, I still would have rather heard Prodigy or someone else, right? So all these people, I don't think there's anyone here that is like a terrible, terrible rapper on the board. I mean, Kanye West is not very good, but when he has people write for him, I always like that verse that he had on Brand New. Brand new. I think Rhymefest wrote that. That was okay, but I don't listen to Kanye. Kanye is probably one of the worst rapper producers, actually, ever. Who else is on here that rapped? I don't remember Just Blaze rapping. I don't remember Poke and Tone from Trackmasters. I know they rapped. I don't remember if they were any good. I'm going to say that they were mediocre. And I say that again with all due respect. Of course, great producers in their own right. DJ Paul and Juicy J, they're functional, right? But You know, you'd rather hear somebody like you'd rather hear like a Project Pat on a DJ Paul and Juicy J beat. You get what I'm saying? Over them, because they're phenomenal producers, but they're functional rappers, and that's usually the case with a lot of these people. They're just very functional. So yeah, my number one would go to would probably go to Dilla, actually. Dilla and Tip, because I do like Tip, but I'd probably say Dilla. You know, I just, there's something about the way that he just emotes with his voice that really does it for me. So yeah, and on that note, I say peace. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. As always, you're here for that hip hop analysis. I give you that raw, that real. And you guys know that I love this rap shit, and I always try to be as honest as I can, because that's what's missing from hip-hop, is the creativity and honesty, right? Most people are not creative. In fact, they are almost anti-creative. They kind of diss creativity, which is fucking weird. And they're certainly very dishonest and chasing clout. And I'm not here for that. I'm here to just talk art. I'm inspired by this stuff, and to keep celebrating that hip-hop shit. So on that note, I say peace, much love, Happy New Year, and more best shit to come. Bye.